Week 3 of the NFL preseason is here. How do you get on the right side of some line moves? Well, that's what you're here to find out. Opening line report, August 18th, a beautiful Monday morning. And no, I am not the beautiful Kelly Stewart. Dan Alexander here in the driver's seat, joined by the incomparable Teddy Covers. And Teddy, man, we'll get into it because we got a Monday night football game tonight, standalone preseason action, right? The announcers need their preseason fine-tuning as well. That's why I understand why there's probably a Monday night football game. So much to get into from what we saw in week 2. And of course, every single game broken down right here, getting you on the right side of the line moves for week 3 NFL preseason. Teddy, how we doing on a Monday morning, brother?
Well, good morning, Dan. Good morning, audience. How's everybody today? Looking forward to breaking down the world of the NFL. What just happened, what's meaningful, what isn't, what we can expect in week 3, what we know already, what lines are on the move as we speak. Loaded Monday edition, just like every week, right here on the WagerTalk opening line report. So let's start with a little Monday Night Football talk, shall we?
Yeah, let's please. And guys, you definitely want to like and subscribe. Make sure you're here, subscribe to the channel, because like Teddy said, every Monday morning, this is the way to start your week handicapping the NFL. And Teddy, let's be real, with a standalone game, there's many people who have clicked on this video simply because they want to know, how do we bet Monday Night Football? Anything to be gleaned on this one? I know there's a video up here on the page on YouTube, Teddy, breaking this one down. So I know you have some thoughts here. Cincinnati Bengals, Washington Commanders, Monday Night Football action.
Yeah, I do have a standalone video on this game. You can see it on YouTube. You can see it on my homepage, wt.buzz/TC, as I talk about why the money has come for Cincinnati. And we saw this line move off of 3. Last night it was about 10 o'clock at night. And pretty much all the sharp books went from 3 to 3.5 at that moment. The recreational books have also made that move since the sharp money came in on Cincy last night. And it's twofold here. All right, I would not be surprised if we see a little bit more Cincinnati money. There's 4 starting to pop, and we could see 4s between now and kickoff because we got a little bit of bet on and a little bit of bet against. Bet against for the Commanders is all about Dan Quinn. You know, Washington lost by 30 last week at New England. And you look at Quinn's track record. Again, the bet on coaches in the NFL preseason, I'm tapping my brakes on that in theory. And we'll talk about that as the show goes on. The bet against coaches, there's no tapping the brakes. Dan Quinn in Atlanta, 2017, 0-4 straight up and against the spread. 2018, 0-4 straight up and against the spread. 2019, 1-4 straight up and against the spread. The only one game they won was a garbage week 4 matchup. No preseason in 2020. He was fired by 2021. Last year in Washington, 1-2 straight up and against the spread. The one win, garbage time week 3 matchup. And this may be that. But that being said, we're talking about a head coach who has a grand total of 2 straight up wins, 2 point spread covers in his last 5 preseasons. So that's a bet against track record. And of course, they scored 20 or less 15 times in those 17 games. So it's been a guy who doesn't want to show a whole lot on offense, hence the anti-Washington money. And then the pro-Cincinnati money, well, there's supposed to be some urgency for the Bengals. You know, Zach Taylor was not amused by some of the things he's seen. Quote, those are things as a team we can't tolerate. We got to play better football than that. Joe Burrow, after last week. Today was average. Overall, I'm happy with where we're at. Next week, I'd like to be a little bit better. So there's urgency for Cincy. There's anti-Washington sentiment in the markets. And we've seen already this line move off of 3. It could go higher.
Man, whether you want to cash some tickets or just sound smart talking to your buddies, nobody breaks it down better than my man Teddy Covers. Teddy, if week 1 of the NFL preseason was all about overs, that was clearly the takeaway there. And everybody thought, oh, easy money. Let's just keep riding the overs. I'm wondering, did that come back down to earth here in preseason week 2? And what was your big takeaway here for the second week of the preseason as we head into week 3?
So if you watched the opening line report last week, after the bevy of overs in week 1, I said I would expect week 2 to be much closer to 50-50. What did we see in week 2? Well, it's either 8-7 to the over or 7-8 to the over going into Monday night, depending on how you grade San Fran Vegas. That game was as high as 41.5. Under money came in before kickoff. It closed 39.5. So against the closing total, it counts as an over. That being said, for much of the week, it was an under. So that one landed in the middle. But 8-7 or 7-8 to the over. So it wasn't from a macro betting perspective, there's nothing to talk about. That's what you expect to see, closer to 50-50. We had a flip of favorites, Miami, Detroit. So when you're worried about the favorite, and really, so there's so many of these preseason games that are lined less than a field goal. I really try to pay attention to the teams that, the big favorites, the teams that get this team. And you see it in the markets this morning. All right. Most of the games lined 1.5, 1, 2.5, a couple of threes. We don't see a lot of games that are lined in the preseason higher than a field goal. And when we do see those games, it's because that's where the money's poured in. The sharp money's poured in on one side or the other. And the sharp money did very poorly in week 1. They didn't do that great in week 2 either. They cashed the middles, which is nice. Tennessee, Atlanta bouncing between 2.5 and 3.5. That was good for savvy bettors. But there were 4 favorites that closed minus 3.5 or higher. And all 4 of those favorites took some steam throughout the week. Every other game was lined at 3 or less. Those 4 favorites, 1 and 3 straight up. San Fran beat Vegas. Green Bay beat Indy. The Rams beat the Chargers. The only win was Seattle beating Kansas City. So it was, again, a week for the bigger underdogs. It was, again, a week where if you faded the line moves, the big line moves towards chalk, you did fairly well. From a total standpoint, exactly what we expected, much closer to 50-50. And there was a tight window. I mean, it was really most of the games fell between like 31 and 45. The overs didn't go over by very much. The unders didn't go under by very much. So, that's what you often expect in August. You don't see offenses clicking on us. You don't see a lot of 48-point outings like the Patriots had week 1, for example, against the Commanders.
Yeah, Teddy, maybe the sharp money was partially distracted. They were half of them were at Bet Bash, right? So maybe week 3 they'll finally be able to focus up a little. I'm messing with you, Teddy. Come on. Well,
So I heard bettors talking. Oh yeah, there's not as much money moving in the markets this week because all these guys are here at Bet Bash. I mean, yes, Bet Bash is there's a lot of people there, but I'm not convinced that it's affecting the global betting marketplace enough. And it's not like they're walking away from everything. There's other guys, but that they leave behind that are doing what they normally do. It may have had an impact. I wouldn't count it as a big impact.
Spot on, but hey, gambling Twitter is always level-headed, Teddy, and always having the best takes out of the gate there. Man, if I'm this jacked up talking about preseason football, I cannot wait for a week from now. We're going to be back here on the opening line report talking week 1 NFL numbers, Teddy.
So after week 3 of the preseason, there's actually kind of an off week before. So next week's show, we're not going to talk week 1. Next week's show, we're going to talk a proper NFL preview. We're going to go through all 8 divisions. I'm going to give you guys, my take on all 32 teams, what upside is there, what downside is there. We'll go rapid fire fashion, and then also next week, we will have time for questions at the end of the show. So whatever you guys want to know, prop wise, that's something you can absolutely ask me because I'm not going to break it to you, but if there's player props you want. And then the following week, Labor Day, we'll talk week 1 of the NFL season. So that's
all I know is we got an opening line report every single Monday through the end of the Super Bowl. After the Super Bowl, you get the opening line report. So we're locked and loaded, folks. More reason than ever to hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed. The little bell will let you know when we go live. Teddy, nothing to it but to do it. So let's get into it. Preseason week 3. Pittsburgh, Carolina is where we're going to start. Guys, if you've never been on the show before, we go rotation order down the odds board. So you can check out oddslogic.com, go to the WagerTalk free odds, play along with us, and check out the games. Pittsburgh, Carolina, Teddy, and these lines are pretty fresh because as of Sunday night, last night, there was nothing. So this is a great addition here. I turn the mic on over to you. Let's talk some Steelers and Panthers, and let's get into it.
Yeah, and you nailed it. There were no lines Sunday night, and I can't tell you that doesn't happen very often. Week 3 of the preseason, and not a single book. I mean, there wasn't anything. And then this morning, I was at my computer about 6:15, and there were already a handful of books that popped. I wrote the openers from about 6:15 Pacific time, 9:15, using my OddsLogic live odds screen. And by the way, get a free trial of the OddsLogic live odds screens. Go to oddslogic.com/Teddy. Check it out. It really is a kind of a cool product. If you've never had a live odds service, play around with it. It's fun. But I wrote the openers there again from about 6:15 this morning. And let's start right here, right now, because this game has emergency betting alert written all over it. Sure, that's an interesting sound. This line opened Pittsburgh -1.5. There were a couple of pick'ems out there. Total sitting at 36. I'm seeing right now the Steelers are already up to 2 at a handful of books. There is a prominent 3 out there. There are also still 1.5s out there as well. I'm expecting more Steelers money. Why? Well, Dave Canales has already told us he's not playing starters this week. All right. Even though the starters were rough, and that means a lot of Jack Plummer, I should say. And of course, Carolina was not good. You know, they weren't good in week 1. They weren't good in week 2. Canales now 1-4 straight up, 0-5 against the spread as a head coach in August. And of course, you know, his quote after they got, you know, they were 1-10 on third downs, 3.6 yards per play, 164 total yards. Bryce Young couldn't get anything going. Andy Dalton couldn't get anything going. And he basically said, I ain't playing starters. Quote, you know, he said he wouldn't play starters in his final preseason game. Quote, a lot of good work out there. To me, to sum it up, it was a day of almost. I just kind of challenged the group like, are we going to be almost good? Are we going to make the plays when they're there to be made? So Canales is always upbeat. Doesn't look like he's playing starters. Meanwhile, the Steelers, they lost to Tampa Bay. You know, the offense looked really sluggish. The defense didn't have starters. It was Mason Rudolph, then Skylar Thompson, then Logan Woodside. All 3 quarterbacks had an interception. Thompson took 3 sacks. But Pittsburgh's defense controlled the flow of that game. They gave up 1.7 yards per carry. And Tomlin's a head coach who seems to care about these games more than most. Steelers went 17-4 straight up between 2017 and 2023 in the preseason. 0-3 last year, 1-1 this year after the loss to Tampa. It feels like there's a little bit more edge at Pittsburgh. I think we'll see some Steelers starters, and Tomlin cares about winning in August more than Canales does. Hence, my encouragement, if you like Pittsburgh, bet them sooner rather than later. Right now, you can find -1.5 for the Steelers. I do not think that will be available by later today, and certainly not by later this week.
EBA, emergency betting alert, right out the gate. You love to see it. That's how we start a Monday morning. Prime time, Thursday, August 21st. You got the New England Patriots taking on the New York Giants. And Teddy, if it's overreaction season in the preseason, Travion Henderson's going to be Rookie of the Year from the Patriots, is everything that I'm seeing on Twitter. And the New York Giants will lead the league in sacks. That's what I'm hearing from all, again, the easy, even-headed folks over on X. How do we break this one down, though, Teddy? Giants and the Patriots looking about, 2.5-point favorites here for the Giants and on the move?
No, I'm seeing 3.5. There was 2.5 at the open.
Oh, wow.
Total 37.5. And I'm seeing pretty much across the board now for the G-men -3.5. So it's already moved through the key number of 3. I'm not seeing any further indication that this line's going up. It could, but this isn't a game where if you wanted New England at the best or the Giants at the best of the number, you already missed it. And I'm not convinced it's going to go higher. There is a little bit of a betting bandwagon behind New England already. You know, Rabel's 2-0 straight up and against the spread so far this year in the preseason. His last 3 years in Tennessee, the 3 years with 3-game preseasons, he went 6-3 straight up, 5-2-2 against the spread. So Rabel's been making his backers money, both in Tennessee and here in New England. We saw Drake May, then Josh Dobbs, then Woolridge went most of the second half, and Wool was pretty good. Woolridge is a guy who I wanted to bet against week 1, and he was pretty good. He was pretty good again this past week. May played a couple of series against Minnesota's backups. Patriots went 12 of 20 on third downs. Note the 20. That's a lot of third down opportunities. It means the offense wasn't making big plays, and that a lot of that had to do with the defense they were facing. Flores' blitz packages were giving them trouble, but it's certainly a Patriots team that, you know, again, preseason's easy to love everyone, but the New England's looked solid, and the markets are certainly favoring this team. But the Giants have preseason juggernaut written all over them. All right, you have Jackson Dart playing really well. You have Russell Wilson as the starter, and then you have behind them Jameis Winston and Tommy DeVito. You know, 3 of those 4 quarterbacks averaged 10 yards per play, pass attempt or better in the win over the Jets. You know, Dart, I thought guys were making great plays for me. I was just trying to distribute the ball to the playmakers. You know, that being said, Brian DeBall has made it very clear. Russ is our starter. We're going to keep developing Jackson. But, you know, DeBall entered 2025 1-8 against the spread in 9 previous preseason games. You know, 4-5 straight up but 3 of the 4 wins came by a field goal or less. This year, the Giants, with that QB rotation, they scored 31 and 34 in 2 preseason games. Obviously, 2-0 straight up, 2-0 against the spread, and both those wins coming by more than a touchdown. The G-men have taken the very early money, but now that it's already moved to 3.5, it could go higher, but I'm not convinced that it will. That urgency, you got to bet this right now, isn't. I'm not seeing it there for the G-men right now.
All right, Teddy, let's flip the page to Friday, August 22nd. My Philadelphia Eagles were looking at 105-106, and outside of a Makuba pick 6, Eagles fans didn't have much to cheer for in their final home preseason game. Now they'll go on the highway, taking on the Jets here. And Teddy, you kind of have your pick. I'm seeing on the odds screen here, you got half for the New York Jets, all the way up to what I see 2.5 at circa. So it looks like Jets are the favorites here. How are you looking to bet the final week here for both of these teams here?
Well, I'm going to call it Jets open -1/1.5 total, 37.5 for this. We haven't seen a whole lot of movement on the total yet. We haven't seen a whole lot of movement on the side yet. Again, still 1.5 just about everywhere. So Philly, well, Tanner McKee matters, huh? McKee lit up who they play week 1?
The Bengals.
The Bengals, yeah, they absolutely lit up the Bengals in week 1. He threw for 250 yards, guided the team, extra touchdown, rallied from when Burrow and company came in and scored 2 touchdowns, and Philly didn't matter. McKee just was clicking on all cylinders. This past week against Cleveland, Tanner McKee rested, and it was Dorian Thompson-Robinson followed by Kyle McCord. And between that duo, Philly had 8 first downs and 88 total yards, and we love their depth on the offensive and defensive lines. So DTR and McCord, and again, it may have been some of the Browns defense might be pretty good. Better than people are giving them credit for. But Philly's offense didn't do anything this past week, and there may be a little bit more urgency here, but they're the defending champs. There's no urgency in real. The markets will move based on McKee's status. I'll tell you that right now. There's interest in Tanner McKee for a marketplace that looks for anything they can find that's reasonable in the preseason. For the Jets, they got annihilated by the Giants. Once again, the passing game didn't work. Justin Fields, 1 of 5 for 4 yards. Adrian Martinez was pretty good in that game, and Brady Cook closed it out. Aaron Glenn, quote, "We were sloppy, and the guys know that. Overall, in general, it wasn't good enough. I don't care with the starting offense. I don't care with the second-team offense, the third-team offense." So there was certainly, Glenn was not amused by that performance. We could see more urgency from the Jets. That's why they're favored here. But the markets will move when we find out if McKee's playing or not. I can tell you that. I would expect that. I haven't heard anything yet. And again, for the purpose of this, Monday morning video, when I have info, coaches playing starters, coaches not playing starters are going to get a cup of coffee, starters are going to get 2 series. When I have that info, I will share it. If I'm not sharing it, it means it's not out yet, and the market's likely to move once that information becomes available later in the week.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, Teddy, I mean, McKee is solely locked in at that 2 spot, and Sirianni, he's not a guy who really cares. He saw what he needed to see probably in week 1. I would be surprised if you did see McKee. Again, that's just my opinion, but we'll see if Sirianni agrees with me there. And go ahead, Teddy.
So one of the things that I found is I was reading a bunch of beat writers last night. They all have their opinion, the Carolina writers, the Canales should play his starters this week, and this guy should. If I'm the coach, none of us are the coach. So whatever, in the regular season, we can talk all the time about what opinions we have. In the preseason, my opinion doesn't mean nothing. Your opinion doesn't mean nothing. And sometimes what the coach says before the game is not what actually happens in the game because circumstances change. And, we saw some bizarre stuff that I'll talk about, with guys being shuttled in and out of the lineup or guys who are sitting and, let's get Jackson Dart in for a play right now. Where it's like, I didn't even tell the coaching staff. I just thought it might be a good opportunity. And then Jackson Dart comes in and throws a 30-yard complete. It was a screen pass. It was a 30-yard completion. And then he goes back to the bench. That kind of shit happens in August. So what I try to do on this show is for the purpose of the preseason is I'll give you my take, but
Mm-hmm.
information is what moves the markets, and information is what helps you win bets. So my goal here is all about info, and we'll see if McKee plays or not this week.
Yeah, and so the big takeaway, folks, preseason opinions are like Atlanta Falcons. We'll talk Atlanta Falcons here. Atlanta taking on Dallas, Teddy, and graphic here, of course, saying 2.5. I'm seeing 3.5 in the marketplace. This is my struggle with the opening line report, is having the graphics updated because the lines are moving when Teddy's doing the damn show. So we got Dallas around 3.5 point favorite. You're looking at a total around 36.5, 37. Teddy, how are you breaking this one down?
Yeah, big market move this morning on this game. This taking a fair bit of money. It's been all Dallas money, opened 1.5. There were 36.5s and 37.5s on the total. And that really, someone took out the 37.5s down to 36.5 and 37. And we've seen heavy money for Dallas. 3.5s out there. There's 4.5s out there right now for the Cowboys. So there hasn't been a whole lot of bets on Atlanta. And we can perhaps understand why when we look at Raheem Morris, who is now 0-5 straight up, 1-4 against the spread the last 2 preseasons in Atlanta. So no wins, only 1 cover. And, of course, the quarterback rotation for Atlanta here in August. We're not seeing Kirk Cousins. We're not seeing Michael Penix. It's been Easton Stick and Emory Jones. Easton Stick threw a pick 6 in the first quarter and finished with just 5.1 yards per pass attempt. Emory Jones played in the fourth. He got stuffed on 4th down, and then he got hurt. In that game, I did not see an update as to how hurt Emory Jones actually is, but it could be a lot of Easton Stick this game if because Jones got stuffed on a 4th down late in the game, and that was the end of him. So Stick had to come back in for the final drive. The running game didn't work for the Falcons over the weekend. They had 10 penalties. It wasn't a clean game, so the market's not enamored with Atlanta right now. That being said, I don't get to say this very often, but F the Cowboys, man. I had a big play on Dallas over the weekend. I was not. I mean, I read it wrong. I couldn't have read it. Cooper Rush. I thought Dallas would have an answer for Cooper Rush defensively. Cooper Rush lit him up. I thought that Joe Milton was going to take advantage of the opportunity that he had, and they were going to call plays to try to make him work. And Joe Milton was god-awful. Dallas was pretty god-awful in that game. I mean, first downs, Baltimore 26, Dallas 7. Yards 399 to 176. Baltimore had more than 40 minutes of possession in that game. Brian Schottenheimer can put a lot of emphasis on. We have to get off to a better start this week. We need, we can't get pushed off the ball after they got lit up by the Rams the previous week. And they resulted, the first half possessions, 2 punts, a pick, turnover on downs, and a safety. Schottenheimer, we're not pushing the panic button. We're pushing the work button. Schottenheimer, quote, it wasn't just Joe Milton. We didn't get in a rhythm. I thought we were going to get some Will Grier on Saturday, and Will Grier did get in there, 1 of 5 for 33 yards. Schottenheimer's now 0-2 straight up and against the spread this August. Dallas, as a team, Jerry Jones isn't really, and Jerry Jones hangs over the Cowboys franchise. He doesn't care about August wins. 4-11 straight up against the spreads in 2021. The money coming on Dallas. Yes, I'm frustrated with the Cowboys. No, I'm not taking Atlanta, but I had my fun with Joe Milton this last week. I do not expect to be betting on Joe Milton again anytime soon.
Yeah. 4 games down, 12 to go here on the opening line report. Folks, hop below in the comments after the video goes live and let us know what games you're looking to eye. Teddy will be in the comments answering your questions, so keep them coming. And the ones that are even good enough, we'll throw them on next week's show as well, since we have some open time for questions. So keep them coming, folks, and make sure you're subscribed. Don't miss out on a show. Like I said, Teddy, 4 down and a dozen to go here. Let's go 109, 110. Titan CT says, you want to talk about being wrong? I had a huge play on the Vikings. Well, let's see if the Vikings can bounce back as well. They're taking on at Tennessee. And again, line's kind of all over the place on this one, Teddy, at least on my odds logic screen. How are you seeing this one?
So I'm seeing I'm going to call it Minnesota open 1.5, 37.5. Minnesota, I'm seeing they're still 1.5 at some books. I'm seeing Tennessee as a favorite in other books. Mm-hmm. And where's it going to go? Good question. I'll say this, all right? I would not be shocked to see Tennessee money. I feel like I almost should, even though I haven't seen signs of it yet. Let me just look around and see if there's anything bigger. I haven't seen any signs of it yet, so I'm not convinced. I would not be surprised at all. I feel like part of me, I'm tempted to give a EBA on Tennessee, even though I haven't. And what I'm trying to do with the EBAs, early betting alerts, emergency betting alerts, is, all right, I'm seeing signs this is moving, therefore bet it now. This isn't that yet. But boy, Cam Ward finished 2 of 7. All right. He had 3 drives. He had 1 first down. Brandon Allen next. He led a couple touchdown drives. Then Trevor Siemian, who just got signed off the waiver wire, but he's a veteran. He led the drive there for the go-ahead field goal in a game they won against Atlanta. They fumbled a kickoff return that led to a cheap score for the Falcons. So the game wasn't perhaps as close as the final score might indicate. And Cam Ward after the game, more reps for me. I'm probably saying the biggest thing I emphasize is making it hard on myself in practice. When I have a real rush coming at me, I think I'll continue to get better every week. Looking forward to next week playing a good defense in Minnesota. So Ward sounds like he's expecting to play. For the Vikings, they got slapped around by New England, but it really was a sloppy game. 10 penalties, -2 turnovers, 0-4 in the red zone. Minnesota sat all of their starters. They sat most of their backups. They prioritized the joint practices with the Patriots over the game time. Number 2 QB Sam Howell had a rough game, 1 of 5 for 13 with a pick. The rookie Max Brosmer played the entire second half, and he was fine. But again, the rookie QBs, Brett Rippon got some action. I don't know that we're going to see J.J. McCarthy in this ball game. I wouldn't count on it. And again, Minnesota's defense has been really good this August, really has. I would not be shocked to see Titans money. I'll just leave it at that. I haven't seen signs of it, but I'm kind of expecting it, at least a little. So if you like Tennessee, take the 1.5 now. That's my not emergency betting alert advice, but I think it's going to happen advice.
So a soft emergency betting alert. Doesn't warrant the graphic or the sounder, but a soft EBA for Teddy after we just started talking about, hey, watch out opinions here. That's why Teddy doesn't want to go full in on the EBA because he hasn't seen the line move. Man, a man of integrity for sure. Teddy covers. All right, let's finish off Friday, August 22nd here and talk about our takeaways from week 2. Chicago beat the brakes off of Buffalo last night. You're looking here at total around 38.5, 39. Well, Chicago scored 38 by themselves against the Buffalo Bills. Sean McDermott was not happy. We'll get into that when we talk the Bills game, but Bears and Chiefs. Teddy, how are you seeing any moves on this one?
Nothing yet. Open pretty much 38.5 is a total, 3.5 for Kansas City. Hasn't moved a whole lot yet. There is a 3 out there. There's a 3.5 minus a nickel out there. This line could drop down to 3 for Kansas City. But right now they're pretty much 3.5 across the board. And obviously the Bears look pretty good last night. It was a 371 to 47 yardage advantage. At one point in the game, it was 28-0 at halftime. So it was 343 to 22 was the yard advantage with an 18-1 first down edge for Chicago. The other reports out of Bears camp were the watch out for Tyler Bagent, the backup QB, and boy, he was good yesterday after not being as good in the opener. 13 to 22 for 197 last night against the Bills. Defense, and Caleb Williams looked good. The question is, was that for Chicago enough? And now we'll see nothing in the finale. That is certainly a possibility that Williams and Bagent may both sit here. Now, Kansas City, they got bombed by Seattle, and nobody played. There were nobody that could smell a start this year got in there. It was Minshew and then Zappi and then Chris Olajuwon, no Mahomes. The trio of Minshew, Zappi, and Olajuwon for 88 passing yards on 20 attempts. They had 9 first downs for 29 for Seattle. It was a blowout. It wasn't a game that the Chiefs were really into it. Now, by the way, they had a punt return touchdown in the fourth quarter. Late in the fourth quarter, Sky Moore had a really nice return. But otherwise, they'd have lost that game 33-9. The offense didn't work. In the Andy Reid era, we've seen KC, to 2021, 2022, 2023, 7-2 straight up and against the spread in August. Since the start of the 2024 preseason, 0-5 straight up, 0-5 against the spread. They're laying points here to a team that has played some pretty good football so far this August. Again, I wouldn't be shocked if I see Bears money, but I also wouldn't be shocked if the Bears don't play anybody this week, and Kansas City does it. From this, and I didn't see Reed say I'm definitely playing the starters this week, but this is Reed said I'm going to make sure that Mahomes gets a cup of coffee this week, and it matters, because usually when the starters come on to start the game, the coach will leave them out there until they score. You have situations like, Bryce Young being out there or Cam Ward being out there, and they leave him out there for a couple drives. They ain't scoring, and the coach is like, all right, I'm going to pull these guys before they do. But in general, if Mahomes is out there and the Chiefs offense is out there, you expect them to get a drive or two and score something, at least three. And that's why you see the markets react so much to the starters being announced they're going to play. Haven't heard that from Kansas City, but this line is telling me that the markets expect that to happen.
Yeah, and I mean, when it was 4 preseason games, the third one was always thought of as the dress rehearsal game, right? And that was always Andy Reid's moniker. That's what he's always kind of done, was third game. That's where we see starters. And like Teddy said, the line's kind of already telling you that is going to be the case. Is it? That's what we're here to find out. Teddy, we got 10 games left here, Saturday, August 23rd. But first, before we talk Baltimore and Washington, hell of a deal over at your page, wt.buzz/TC. It's called the 777 deal. And Teddy, tell folks why they should hop on now sooner rather than later.
Sure. You're going to live in Vegas. You need a 777 deal. This is really simple. You get every play every day. And I'm always telling people, don't buy a play, buy a package. And I firmly believe that. We put up packages for sale. I understand there's a market out there for people that want a daily package. But if you're serious about sports betting and you're serious about investing in a capper, this is going to get you every play, every day, in every sport. You'll get the rest of baseball season. You'll get NFL. You get college football. And you'll also get NBA, where I'm the #1 capper since 2022 at WagerTalk, and college hoops when it starts for me in December. So every play, every day, every sport, all 5% big tickets included, et cetera, et cetera. And it's $777. It's nearly like half off the usual price for a deal like that. If you're interested, if you want to partner up this football season, check out my page, wt.buzz/TC. Let's see if we can make some money together. So again, 777 every play, every day at wt.buzz/TC.
Nailed it. And if you've never bought before, if you've never, tried any handicappers out from WagerTalk, I couldn't agree more with Teddy as far as he's talking, taking a long-term approach. If you want to dip your toes in the water, come and join us on Tuesdays. You can try a play for $5. Check out handicapping styles. See what you want to do. So if you want to buy a play, sure, go do it. What is it, like $25-$30 if you're talking 5% plays. If you want to dip your toes in, folks, join us on Tuesdays. If you want to take this long-term approach, these packages are the time to do it, because the specials, a lot of people buy them at full price. This is the time, if you're going to go long-term, to go long-term, Teddy.
And we really encourage, look, if you're a first timer, if you've never bought before, we encourage you, check it out.
Save the money.
It's that $5 Tuesday is a great time for newbies to get on board. And of course, if you want to partner up, like I said, 777. It's August. It's like the third week of August. You get every play through December 31st in every sport. So try it out. Appreciate you newbies. Thanks for watching, guys. Cheers. And if you like the show, tell your friends.
Absolutely. Tell your friends and hop below in the comments and let us know what you think of the show, what you'd like to see more of, what you'd like to see less of. Probably less Dan Alexander, more Kelly in Vegas. I understand that. But Teddy, let's do Baltimore Ravens, Washington Commanders here. Seen about 2.5 for the preseason darlings that in recent history haven't been so much. That's the Baltimore Ravens. And we're looking at about 35.5 painted. What are you seeing in this game, Teddy?
Yeah, 2.5, 35.5 hasn't moved from the open, and it's not going to move until we see the Commanders play tonight. But at the open of the show, I talked about Dan Quinn's track record. 2017 in the preseason, 0-4 straight up and against the spread. 2018, 0-4 straight up and against the spread. 2019, 1-4 straight up and against the spread in August. No preseason in 2020, was gone by 2021. Last year in Washington, 1-2 straight up and against the spread in August. This year, 0-1 so far. So again, last five preseasons for Dan Quinn, his teams have won twice and covered twice. So if we see Washington no show again tonight, Baltimore will be a bigger favorite than this before kickoff this next week. As for the Ravens, Harbaugh went 23-0 from 2016 to 2022. And then 2-4 straight up / 0-6 against the spread in 23-24. Both of those straight up wins came by a single point after their opponents missed 2-point conversions to win the game. That being said, the Ravens are 2-0 straight up this year. They beat the Colts week 1 and got my money against Dallas last week. Now, every single mainstream site out there is calling Harbaugh, quote, the best active coach in preseason against the spread. I'm not convinced that there's that urgency for Baltimore this preseason. And of course, coming off an annihilation of Dallas, first downs, Baltimore 26, Dallas 7, yards 399 to 176, Baltimore more than 40 minutes of possession. They played well. I'm not convinced there's that level of urgency this week. But again, if Washington gets bombed tonight, it will only be Ravens money.
Yeah, trends are great until they're not. Case in point, the Baltimore Ravens. Teddy, 1:15, 1:16, another 1 o'clock game here on Saturday. It is the Colts taking on the Bengals. And you mentioned Taylor not too happy with his locker room, what they've seen here in the preseason. They're taking on the Colts here. And what are we seeing? Colts, what, a 1-point favorite? What are you seeing in this one, Teddy?
Yeah, I'll call them 1/1.5 for Indy. Total 38.5 in this game. We're seeing some overpressure on this contest. I think enough overpressure, perhaps, for an emergency betting alert.
You love to see it, Teddy.
Yeah, I'm expecting over money here. We're seeing stuff as high as 39.5 right now. And again, since he plays tonight, so from an emergency betting alert standpoint, I don't think we're going to see this line go crazy today. We could, but I doubt it because the Bengals haven't played yet. But we've certainly seen enough indicators from Cincy that they're A, interested in scoring points, B, that the offense works. And as for Indy, again, we're expecting to see a resolution of the quarterback situation this week, whether it's Anthony Richardson, whether it's Danny Jones. And look, the insiders are saying they expect Richardson to win the job because Jones hasn't won it. Obviously they brought in Jones for competition, but Richardson's their guy. Richardson's the guy they expected. Then from an upside standpoint, he probably got a little bit more than Daniel Jones. So I would be surprised if Jones wins this job. That could mean that Jones sees the entirety or much of the game this week against Indy. But again, there are 38.5s out there right now. Several of them are juiced to the over. I would not be shocked at all to see over money for Cincy Indy in a matchup where you're talking about quarterback rotations that make sense. And of course, Steichen played a lot of his starters into the second quarter this past week. I'm not convinced we're going to see. I don't know what Indy's going to do this time around, but Riley Leonard, Jason Bean are a couple of guys that could end up getting a lot of playing time. And if it is that duo, my emergency betting alert is garbage, and we're not going to see the move towards the over like I expect.
Yeah, and again, just to clarify, as far as the emergency betting alerts work, this is get on the right side of the market. This is the way that Teddy sees the market going. Doesn't mean, hey, pull the rubber band off and this is the side that you should bet. That's something that you'll kind of learn that Teddy will talk about as we go through the year.
Yeah, so these are not my official bets. These are not the stuff I'm giving out to my clients. This is stuff where I see the markets moving or likely to move. And if you want, and it's not, and the emergency betting alert, only if you like the over. If you don't want to bet the over, don't worry about it. If you want the under, you wait.
Yep.
From a side standpoint, I talked earlier in the show with an EBA about Pittsburgh, who, by the way, I'm seeing threes now popping up. And a whole bunch of books.
Come on.
That's what we try to do. I want to get you guys ahead of it. It's not like you have to bet the Steelers, but it's not like I'm loaded up on Pittsburgh as an opinion. When I see that, again, I've been in Vegas since 1998. When I see the signs that the market's going to move, I try to share that with you before the markets move. I'm not right 100% of the time. Sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes nothing happens, but I'm right more than I'm wrong. And I'm certainly right. And that's why we do the emergency betting alerts. Because, for this Pittsburgh game, we expect the Steelers money. We've already seen Steelers money. So.
Yeah, and that's the business that you're in, folks. Like, if you're watching this show, whether you're a rec better or a pro better, you want to bet games and sides that you like at the best number you can bet them. And that's the idea behind the emergency betting alert. That's Teddy Covers. You can follow him on Twitter at Teddy_Covers. Teddy, let's talk the next 1 o'clock game. So it's the second out of the 4 1 o'clock games that they have, and it's Denver taking on New Orleans, a team that has a lot of hopes for this year in the Denver Broncos, and a team who many folks think will be the worst team in the league here. But how does that translate to preseason football? Probably not too much, Teddy. How are you looking to break this one down?
Broncos minus 3.5, 37.5 of the open. We haven't seen any movement on this whatsoever. Sean Payton, 3-0 straight up and against the spread in the preseason last year. 2-0 straight up and against the spread in the preseason this year. The last 4 wins for the Broncos under Payton in the preseason, all by 20 or more points. 0 losing preseason straight up his last 4 years in New Orleans, dating back to 2020 to 2017. We have Jarrett Stidham, who's been great, 30 of 38 passing, 376 yards and 4 touchdowns this preseason. Then Sam Ehlinger, don't know if we're going to see Bo Nix or not. Denver's defensive depth has been phenomenal, and the Broncos are showing signs right now in August and the wise guys love this team already. So there's already been Denver money. You talked about New Orleans. They got the 17-17 tie with Jacksonville. Joe for the touchdown and the 2-point conversion late. And I'm seeing, I was reading stuff. Spencer Rattler had the edge over Tyler Shuck. No. Spencer Rattler played against the backups. He played in the second half. Tyler Shuck played in the first half. And when you play in the first half, you're seeing tougher competition. So, Rattler had, Rattler had 1 field goal and 1 touchdown for the entirety of the second half. Shuck, I felt really comfortable. But listen to this quote. It's all new for us. A new offense, new system, new guys we're throwing to. So there's going to be growth moments. Kellen Moore. Sooner is always better, but the guys are competing. They're giving everything is all we can ask. We'll continue to evaluate. They have no idea what they're doing at the quarterback position right now. And you talked about New Orleans might be the worst team in the NFL. And my power ratings going into the season, I've got them worse than the Browns, worse than the Giants, the 32nd ranked team in the league, and a team that has QB issues, which may create some urgency for August. But the markets aren't set in front of Peyton. Peyton and Denver have been bet on all the way.
Yeah, well, you can call it the Shadur Sanders effect when you get to play against the second and third stringers, and then you light the world on fire. That'll be the new coin term for moving forward here through the preseason. Teddy, let's keep it rolling. 119, 120 on the odds board here. We're looking at the Rams taking on the aforementioned Browns. Perfect segue there. Teddy, how are you looking to break this one down? Because I'm seeing, over at FanDuel, 4.5 is what the odds logic screen is showing here on Cleveland.
Yeah, let's emergency betting alert this one as well. I don't know if we're going to have any more than this one, but this could be our... This opened 3 and 37.5. We've already seen Browns money 3.5 minus 20. There are 4s out there. There are 4.5s popping out there. I expect we'll see more Cleveland money than what we just saw, than what we've already seen. It's very much a circumstance for. Now I've lost my notes. Where am I at? Cleveland Browns. There we go. All right. So first of all, the Rams don't give a crap, all right? McVay does not care. Last week, plus 2.5 to plus 8.5. Money poured in against them. No head coach in the NFL cares less about August wins than Sean McVay. That being said, the Rams are now 4-1 straight up, 5-0 against the spread in August the last 2 years. It was all Stetson Bennett last week. I'm expecting to see lots of Stetson Bennett again. This week, we're going to get an update on Matthew Stafford today. I would not expect Stafford to move. The offense was just fine with the third-string quarterback, 26 first downs, 458 total yards, 6.0 yards per play. They did allow a punt return touchdown. That said, it was kind of a lucky win against the Chargers. Bennett threw a red zone pick, then a 3-and-out. and then he hit a 40-yard completion in the final seconds to set up the game-winning field goal. The market's not enamored with the Rams. For the Browns, and again, we're hearing the quotes from Stefanski that he wants to name a starter. They're not there yet. Whether it's Tyler Huntley or Dylan Gabriel or whether we're going to see Sanders or Flacco, we don't know yet. Nonetheless, there's quarterback competition and there's a decent quarterback rotation and there's urgency. And 2 straight weeks for Cleveland. That defense has really been the best unit on the field. They shut down Carolina last week and shut down Philly over the weekend. So the Browns, again, we've already seen them take some money. Would not be surprised if they take more money between now and kickoff.
All right, Teddy, we'll keep it moving here. Final 1 o'clock kick. You got Houston taking on Detroit. What are you seeing in this one, Ted?
Yeah, Detroit opened 1.5, 36.5. We've seen a little bit of under money at a couple of books. I'm seeing 36s and 35.5s out there, basically sitting still at 1.5 at most locations right now. The Texans beat Carolina. That's likely the last of what we've seen for the starters for the Texans in the preseason. They only give up 1 first down in 3 series. And actually the defense again, Stroud got the start, 6 of 8 of 44. Then Davis Mills, then Keaton Slovis, then Graham Mertz. Slovis and Mertz, that's a rough quarterback combination. I don't know how much Mills we're going to see here either. And I would not expect to see a whole lot of Stroud, although I haven't heard that officially yet from the Texans. The Lions got beat by Miami. Kyle Allen was pretty good in that game, 14-17, $124, 2 touchdowns, no pick. Hendon Hooker, who said it was a big preseason for him, he's been pretty awful. And Dan Campbell said it, quote, "Right now I would trust Kyle more, but we're still going to coach Hooker up. I'm going to try to get him more reps again this week." Allen, we got a really good, really complete offense. I know I have options on every play. I'm confident to know where to go on every call. That's a nice feeling. Detroit against Miami, 1 of 12 on 3rd downs, 13 penalties. They go 3 of 3 on 4th downs. Damn Campbell football already. And again, I expect to see a lot of Hooker this week. He's the guy who needs the work, and it's a meaningful game for him. But Campbell doesn't care about winning at this time of year, and I don't see a ton of money coming for the Lions.
It's Teddy Covers, WT.buzz/TC is where you can find them. We talked about earlier. Check out that 777 deal. Teddy, we got 5 games left to go here. 4 o'clock kick. We got Seattle taking on the Green Bay Packers, looking like another road favorite. That's kind of the customary thing you see a lot here in the preseason. 38.5, we'll call the total. How are you looking to break down this one, Teddy?
Yeah, I'm calling Seattle. There was 1s at the open and 1.5, 38.5. The total, haven't seen a whole lot of movement at all. Still 1 and 1.5 out there, 38.5. And for most of these games on Saturday, I'm not expecting to see a whole lot of movement on Monday morning. The action is more likely to come in on the Thursday/Friday games. This coming right at the open. Then we'll see for the Saturday games. There's more time and less info available for most of these contests. But Seattle's a little bit of road chalk. Sam Darnold was good against Kansas City. The Seahawks have really put in a lot of emphasis on running the football this August. Well, they had another big running day against Kansas City. 48 carries, 268 rushing yards. 5 different players rushed for at least 30 yards. Mike McDonald, the backs ran really hard. Every back today I thought ran the ball hard. Going forward, how we finish plays, I can't wait to watch it. And again, that game, 33-16, it was 32-9 before they gave up the punt return touchdown. Seattle is going bet on signs this August, and the ability to run the football in August is a positive sign for a team that is iffy, has had iffy offensive line play of late. There's a joint practice between these two teams on Thursday. That will probably affect how the player rotations are in this game. We're not going to see, obviously, Jordan Love, who's still recovering from surgery. Malik Willis is not a bet on QB at the NFL level. Taylor Eigersma had a better game this week. Sean Clifford just 1 of 4 for 11 yards on the final drive. But Clifford, the type of backup I don't mind having my money on in August. That being said, I wouldn't be surprised at all if it's Eigersma and Willis for the majority of this contest. No player rotations announced just yet.
Over 2,000 of you watching us live here. We greatly appreciate it. This is the opening line report, WagerTalk TV. And if you're just joining us now, folks, you already missed 3 emergency betting alerts, so make sure you get notified when we go live. But if you're joining us now, just watch the rewatch. It'll be on Teddy's Twitter, Kelly's Twitter, or head on over to YouTube. That's where we would appreciate you watching. Get those views up, get those likes coming, and hit that little bell, and you'll never miss when we go live here. Teddy, we got 4 games left here on the slate. Jacksonville and Miami is the next one up here. And what are we seeing? Again, this was one that when I was making up graphics, the line was one thing, and I'm looking at something different here, Teddy. So what are you seeing, Jags and Dolphins?
Yeah, me and you both. We've seen a whole lot of money come in for Miami over the course of the last couple of hours. Jacksonville was a favorite at the open, and that one got popped early and significantly with the Jags open 1.5, 38.5, and now I'm seeing Miami -3 with juice even at some places, 3 -1/4 at a handful of books for the Dolphins. 3 -15, 3 -20. So we've seen a lot of Miami money so far for this one. The Dolphins, we saw Zach Wilson look pretty good this past week, and Quinn Ewers, who I wanted to bet against week 1, and he was pretty bet against week 1. It didn't matter. Ewers was much better this past week. McDaniel did not say if the starters were going to play after the game. Perhaps there's been an announcement there already this morning, or perhaps they're just getting in front of a Jacksonville team that is not likely to play starters. And again, we've seen Trevor Lawrence look good in a couple of preseason performances. They were sloppy in the scrimmage on Thursday, and the starters played much better, both sides of the football, on Saturday. Now, it's in theory a bet on QB rotation for the Jags. Trevor Lawrence, Nick Mullins, John Wolford, Seth Hennigan late, but I don't think Lawrence is going to play here. We may not see Mullins this week. It could be a lot of Wolford and Hennigan, and Hennigan hasn't shown any bet on thus far coming out of Memphis.
Teddy, next game up here, we got Buffalo and Tampa Bay, and after last night's shellacking that the Bears had at the against the Buffalo Bills here, I saw quotes from Sean McDermott, and I said, well, I know Teddy will have something to talk about with the Buffalo Bills here. They're taking on the Bucs, and no surprise, seeing Tampa Bay as a favorite, but that favorite number seems to be shrinking, at least on my screen, Teddy. You seeing the same?
Let's get our final emergency betting alert of the show on right here, right now.
4 of them.
Tampa opened 1.5, 37.5. I'm seeing 1.5s out there still. I'm also seeing pick'ems right now. We've seen some of the leading indicator books move towards Buffalo after that dismal showing against Chicago yesterday. If you like the Bills, I would not. I would find a 1.5 right now and grab it, because I'm not convinced it's going to be there all that much longer. Both DK and FanDuel have that number available as we speak, but it's pretty clear we're going to see some Buffalo money. Now, Trubisky wasn't good yesterday. Mark White wasn't good yesterday. Josh Allen hasn't played in either of the preseason games. It's worth noting Allen's thrown at least 3 passes in every preseason since he came in the league in 2018. The market's saying we could see a little bit of Josh Allen, at least a cup of coffee with him this week. So with the Bills off a complete no-show, the Bills off a dismal game, the Bills with a veteran QB rotation, the Bills potentially playing Allen this week. That's why we're seeing money for Buffalo right now. As for Tampa, they got the win against Pittsburgh. Kyle Trask wasn't good as a second stringer, only 3 pass completions at 4 first-half drives, 0 points. Connor Bazelak's not necessarily a bet on QB in the second half. They had a muff punt set up the Steelers tying touchdown, but they couldn't run at all against Pittsburgh's defense, and that's certainly a concern here against a Buffalo defense that's far better than what we saw yesterday against Chicago.
Man, 4 emergency betting alerts. I cannot wait for the regular season to be here, but this is scratching the itch, Teddy. I will tell you, and it's a fun time. Go ahead.
Well, I would expect fewer emergency betting alerts than regular season. You see early on, You might see a couple. Week 2, week 3, we'll see a handful. Week 1, we're not going to see any. I'll tell you that right now because the markets are already.
I mean, they've been out. They've been out for how damn long, barring anything crazy. Yeah, we would be shocked to see an emergency betting alert. All right, 2 games left here on our final preseason edition, and then it's all regular season, folks. Exciting stuff. So make sure you're subscribed here. Let's talk the Battle of California, Los Angeles Chargers, even though they just had the Battle of Los Angeles, at least last weekend. They're taking on the San Francisco 49ers. This one taking place in the Bay Area. Teddy, what are you seeing in this one? I'm seeing pretty much painted 3 and 37.5.
Yeah, the early money's come for San Fran. There were 2.5s out there this morning. I called it a split line, 2.5, 3, 37.5. We've seen the 2.5s get eaten up, and the Chargers don't care, the QB rotate. We had Justin Herbert this past week. I would not expect to see Herbert playing this week. They got steamed to high heaven, -2.5 to -8.5 against the Rams. Tyler Heineke, then Trey Lance. That's certainly a bet on QB duo. They had a punt return touchdown and still lost to the Rams. Harbaugh, quote, "I was happy with the action that both our first-team defense and first-team offense got in this game. We needed it. It helped us. So I'm not expecting first-stringers for the Chargers in this game, hence the San Fran money." That being said, the 49ers were missing 20 players due to injury going into the game, and they still beat Vegas. But they lost 3 more offensive players to injuries in the first half. Starting guard got hurt. The defense didn't even have enough. The first-string defense had too many injured guys to play the first-string unit on was it Saturday? I'm not laying the field goal with the 49ers. They're a banged up team right now, and the week 3 preseason game isn't making a difference. But I don't think Shanahan's going to worry about getting guys ready as much as he's worried about keeping this veterans healthy. The 49ers, after last year's injury-riddled disaster, cannot be an injury-riddled disaster going into the season. So Shanahan's not playing anyone. I'm surprised this line's still at 3, but the Chargers are not a team that the bettors want this week.
Yep, spot on there, Teddy. All right, final game. This one going at 10 o'clock Eastern. Late night special for you to end the NFL preseason. And that's the aforementioned Las Vegas Raiders taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Ashton Genty finally showed a little bit of flashes. So something to be excited about for Raiders fans outside of not much last week. Teddy, how are you looking to break down this final one?
Yeah, Arizona opened 1.5, 37.5. That's still what we're looking at right now. The markets haven't done anything on this game just yet. I mean, the Raiders, their run defense was really good against the Niners. The pass defense wasn't good. And that's been the reports coming out of camp is you got to worry about this secondary. It's not necessarily a bet on QB rotation, depending on how much Cam Miller plays. Miller's been rough in both preseason games. He was rough again this past week. 2 of 6 stopped in the red zone, down 6. They settled for 3 and then threw a pick late to allow the game-winning field goal against them. Yeah, Ashton Genty was really good. But wow, a running back got a couple of carries in August. Yay! From a point spread standpoint, Ashton Genty he's much more interesting from a fantasy standpoint or a prop standpoint, any of that, than he is from a point spread standpoint. He's just a guy in that regard. Cardinals got bombed by the Broncos. No Kyler Murray, Jacoby Brissett, then Clayton Tune. Clayton Tune was rough. 20 pass attempts for only 56 net yards. Out first down to 27-8. Total yards, Denver 562 to 135, and it could have been much worse. In a game they lost 27-7. The Broncos were only 2 of 6 in the red zone. Jonathan Gannon, quote, "We got outplayed tonight." That was obvious by the score. There's certainly issues in that regard and urgency in that regard for Arizona. But week 3 of the preseason, I'm not convinced either coach cares too much. The markets have no idea what to do with this game. That's why they haven't done anything just yet.
Final week of the NFL preseason, folks. There it is. Opening line report in the books. Figures to see a lot of backups this weekend, Teddy, just like we saw on today's show with me as the backup to Kelly Stewart. She will be back next Monday. But, Teddy, after producing this show for about 4 years, it was a pleasure riding shotgun here with you, buddy, and I'm excited. It's going to be a hell of a year here on Opening Line Report. It's going to be the biggest year yet. So, Teddy, before we shut it down, any parting folks for the over 2,100 people watching live?
So if you guys comment on YouTube, I answer every single comment. I go in there everywhere. I go in there today. I'll go in there again tomorrow. I'll go in there again Wednesday. So I get in there 3 times. If you comment, have a question, I'll answer it. You know, you want to make fun of me? That's fine. That's all good, man. I appreciate any interaction. The likes make all the difference. If you like this analysis, please just hit that like button. Best of luck with all your bets this week. And again, check out WagerTalk.com.
He's Teddy Covers. I'm Dan Alexander. Folks, if you want some more NFL betting advice, all you got to do, click the video right here on your screen. If you want some more of Teddy Covers breakdowns, click right here. And folks, we'll see you next week on Opening Line Report. Best of luck with your wager.